Welcome. It's time to start. I see still people are coming in. I hope you have had a good coffee break and you are having a comfortable seat and surrounding. Welcome to Central Baltic Program 21-27 Applicant Seminar's second part. My name is Ülari Alamets. I'm project manager on the thematic field of innovative business development. And perhaps for a start, I can show you the overall agenda of the week as soon as computer allows the change of a slide. Just for orientation and information, we are now in the second part of our week-long journey through the new Central Baltic program. As many of you, or maybe even all of you, participated in yesterday's general introduction and orientation to intervention logic. Now we are going to go through all program objectives with separate sessions, and today we will go through two program objectives. We are going to work on innovative business development priority, and three program objectives we're going to work in the priority of improved environment and resource use. And for your information also, tomorrow we'll cover remaining program objectives, intervention teams, improved employment opportunities, and improved public services. And the Friday is devoted on aspects related to developing partnership, developing work plan, drafting the budget, and preparing the project idea and partnership for a first call of Central Baltic 21-27. And back to the current session. The aim of current session is really to go through to devote more time to program objectives 1 and 2. I'm going to more or less cover information which you may have already read or seen in program manual or in a program document, but I try to explain, I try to clarify, illustrate wherever possible. There is going to be time for questions in between two program objectives overviews, and we ask you please to use a chat for questions, and my colleagues will help me with questions which have been written into chat when we're going to have the break between two program objective overviews. And I can already reply the first question, which is about availability of slides. Slides are going to be available for all sessions during the next week. So this is about the content objective, the way we work, and that's all for technicalities and introduction. Next, I would like to just go through and mention some basic things which apply to program objectives 1 and 2 as well. Just to remind, there should be 4 cross-border cooperation program as Central Baltic program is, at least 2 partners from 2 participating countries, member states. We're looking for clear cross-border value added and joint approach. Program objectives 1 and 2 both are understood very much as the regular projects area. We expect realistically that results as those have been described for program objectives 1 and 2 can be realistically achieved only with regular projects, not smaller scale projects realistically. And we're also giving the indication that that the partnerships should be of optimal size, and we really discourage the partnerships which are larger than 10 partner organizations. And in this new period, there is no going to be the associated partner status among partnership. ERDF support rate 80% is applied for all countries, and there are set limits to the project sizes. Regular projects understood as maximum 4 million euros per project, and the limit is set also to the partner budget. I have to also say that this is certainly unlikely in case of program objectives 1 and 2 projects, where we are not foreseeing the investments component, and based on the experience and realistic assumption what can be included into project activities, program objectives 1 and 2 projects are very unlikely to reach that maximum level in real life. And about the budget, from the overall Central Baltic new program investment budget of 118 million, 35 million euros is allocated to 2 program objectives of priority 1. There is no split between program objectives, but certain logic leads to split, which comes from the need to achieve results which are defined for each or both of the program objectives. And if you speculate or think what would that 35 million euros mean for a number of potential projects, then I would speculate that based on the also experience of Central Baltic program 2014-20, we are somewhere in a range of 25 plus minus projects for the 2 program objectives combined, and logically it would or ideally it would be the from a viewpoint of results achievement, or more or less equal split between program objectives 1 and 2. So realistically, we expect that throughout the program period, throughout the first call and following calls, we may be having in our portfolio around 25 projects for program objectives 1 and 2 combined. So let's move to program objectives 1 and 2. Program objective 1 is this time devoted to export support. The people who are familiar with the Central Baltic program logic of the 2014-20 period, I can say that to a large extent, new program objective 1, more exports by small and medium-sized companies, is by the logic similar to specific objectives we had to support export, which was specific objective 1.3. There are differences, of course. I will name few at the beginning, and we can certainly see those while going through all relevant aspects in coming slides as well. So what is certainly changed is the world around us, the environment. Certainly we are now in a new period, having the different situation because of the corona pandemic, but also changes into the European Union, meaning that as we are supporting the efforts to enter to new markets, which are defined markets outside of European Union, and European Free Trade Area. United Kingdom has stepped out from European Union, and efforts to enter to markets there are eligible. We are not so much in this framework or program objective now emphasizing the meta cluster building aspect, but we still favor and we recommend to use a cluster-based approach. And from maybe technical viewpoint, we are going to have less output indicators for this period in this program objective compared to previous program specific objective 1.3, where we sometimes struggled with understanding and explaining what was the meaning of those. Now we are going to have two and more relevant program output indicators. And to start and going through approach and scope and logic, overall logic, then as I said, there are not so many changes. This is very much classical export support program we have planned with just the main or biggest characteristic related to the cross-border nature. So very many export support programs activities in your regions or countries are pretty much doing the similar things, but our niche or our thing is very much led by the cross-border cooperation program logic. So we have looked and we have identified the niche, so to say, or a place for our program really where we see that cross-border cooperation adds value. And as a target group, yes, we are looking forward again to support small and medium-sized companies of program area of our country's area. But indeed, those small and medium-sized companies should have certain cooperation experience inside of the region or country. They can be the members of some cluster, or existing cluster, or a previously existed cluster, or they can be some members of some sectoral association or some other group of companies. So we see it's relevant, like as a first step or a first plus, so to say, before going and trying to do the cooperation across borders internationally, that there is some kind of experience and capacity of this target group companies of working together among themselves at least. We are looking for really the real economic impact, which is then related to the niche what we have proposed and taken for cross-border cooperation in a way that the markets which we are targeting and supporting the entry of potential benefiting companies are defined as the markets outside of European Union, European Free Trade Area. Those are more challenging markets to enter, and that's why we see also the need for cross-border joining forces and joining resources for that effort. We are not differentiating or making any preference towards economic sectors. All sectors where this need for finding new markets and also some capacity and experience to cooperate exists are eligible and most welcome. Maybe this time we have identified and described one or hinting in a way one interesting direction to work is towards headquarters of different international organizations which are buying many services and also products. So that can be perhaps taken as a hint that also succeeding in those large procurements or purchases of those international organizations can be one interesting and relevant channel to enter to those markets outside of European Union, European Free Trade Area. We are targeting the innovative companies, but this definition of innovative companies is rather flexible in a way that we know that the economic situation and also the differences which are coming from the sectoral logic are so diverse. So basically, our guidance in regard of innovative companies is that we would like project partners to target and include into project activities those companies whose value added which they target is higher than sectoral or regional average. So it's a little bit like understanding or a focus on those who are really more capable among the very large and numerous group of SMEs who are ready to help themselves, who have resources and capacity and have ambition, of course, and a willingness to move on this ladder or stairs of higher value added up. And as I already said, the cluster-based approach or cluster is actually some kind of cooperation experience, cooperation formation that is certainly strongly encouraged and should be in place. Now about the results, that is not a news, that is something we communicate and we emphasize. That is most important thing, that the companies who are to participate in successful project activities should really achieve sales, should target and achieve sales on those markets towards the entry projects are working on. Sometimes it is asked why this somehow narrow achievement has been put as the result indicator for our intervention team program objective. And yes, indeed, this is a compromise a bit to give a direction and to be measurable for projects, and that is realistic to achieve. We certainly know and we expect and wish that after the companies who participate in project activities achieve those sales, the life would not stop there. We expect that those companies will have in coming years a higher turnover. They will move up in the value added ladder. They will increase their profits. We will have more high value jobs in our program area, and that would lead also to more taxes paid by those companies. So we see certainly there is this kind of impact hierarchy, but for the sake of measurability and giving the clear direction to each potential project, which would be realistic to target and achieve, the result indicator is set as the companies to be achieving sales on those targeted markets. Overall model, again, familiar for those who know Central Baltic 2014-20 and many other programs working on export field. We are to work via organizations who are umbrella organizations, intermediate organizations, not directly with the target group companies. So there is the partner organizations layer, which is expected to be as professional, capable, non-commercial organizations, not-for-profit organizations who have experience, expertise, resources to do export promotion work and to enter to new markets. As I said, in regard of output, we are going to use 2 output indicators this time. Overall logic, certainly, that if you work with the target group companies or participating organizations or people, if you wanna achieve for them something, you need to include a larger number of those. So enterprise with non-financial support indicator is the group of potential companies who are actively participating in project activities, but realistically it is understood that all of those actively participating companies can't achieve or may not achieve sales or get their business done in the new targeted markets. So in that sense, this is like milestone or one stop before the final result. And we're also counting because of the need for over European aggregation and the use of common indicators, the SMEs introducing marketing or organizational innovation as output indicator for a program. And about target group, was already said, we don't have the sectoral restrictions. We see that this is the area for rather mature, established, innovative, small and medium-sized companies of our region. And important aspect is certainly that for each project, this main target group or target group has to be determined and identified specifically. So this is just on a program level general indication, and each project should find their very specific, clear sub, so to say, category or group of companies with whom they are intending to work. And in regard of activity plan or work plan content, so the logic I emphasized several times also yesterday, the overall logic is that we have indicative joint actions, list of indicative joint actions, and that is the indicative menu, but we expect each project now coming, depending on the needs and potential of participating companies and targeted markets, to put together the best mix of activities into the complex logical set of activities, complex action plan, really to be able of going moving step by step towards achieving these entries to the new markets. What I want to emphasize here is, and that has been experienced, and also our emphasis on implementing the 2014-20 export specific objective. We emphasize that each strong project which is to succeed potentially should have a clear and strong emphasis on those activities, active, aggressive new market activities on the target market. So it would not be enough if proportionately more time, resources will be devoted on preparing, identifying needs, looking for market opportunities, preparing for export, and leaving less covered with the resources, the side which is really going actively to this targeted market, using the services from there, participating in events there, communicating with potential buyers. So all that part is emphasized and is a key for a successful new market entry project based on experience. And okay, there are some additional explanations. You can find them, of course, also in the program manual of the Central Baltic program, but those are also relevant to mention and keep in mind. We are explaining, and it's sometimes asked how it really works for services export and specifically, for example, for tourism. So it is just additional explanation given that the services exports, tourism is good example, but there are some other services which work in a similar way. Means that if you have a customers, visitors, tourists coming to our region and they are using the services of attractions or accommodation or catering, so they are the to say tourists who actually create export revenues, but location wise this export revenue is created in our program area in the territories of regions and countries. So there is no need to think that the export of those services takes place outside. So this is the logic of services export as it is in real life. And also not a new team, but solution is different this time. Is in regard of state aid while working with target group companies. So we are encountering a state aid issue. So this is an indirect or to third parties state aid, and in a new program we are using the framework GBER framework, which allows us in a more simple way via partner organizations to grant up to 20,000 euros ERDF per one company per one project. So that is easier arrangement if to compare to the minimis framework we used in Central Baltic 2014-20 program. Yes, there is still need for partner organizations to calculate that amount of services, so to say, cost, and keep that record and report it to Joint Secretariat, but up to the 20,000 euros per one participating company per one project. There is no need to report it to outside. And yes, indeed, when it comes already to the implementation, that will be explained and advised, and also additional tools for keeping record will be provided by the program. And then one more element which is important, and it is included in program manual. We're emphasizing and we look forward, and we want actually this element, joint cross-border element value added, to be strengthened this time, and we give indication what kind of elements in activity plan should be in place. So to avoid a situation that basically after project is financed, each partner in each country starts separately implementing their part of activity plan with their target group companies. So this kind of joint elements approach and emphasizing that, making sure that it is in place is indeed important, and that is a justification why the really cross-border action takes place in that area instead or compared to the national export support schemes, for example. So it can be mixed target group participation, which is very logical in regard of trainings, business missions, joint stands in trade fairs, for example. But it can be also related to the preparatory part of getting ready for entering the markets, joint product service offerings, packages. It can be, of course, related to joint acquisition of use of market information, or sharing already existing the contacts and channels, making available already, the networks and contacts by partners, and yes, there are other aspects which can be added potentially here. This is not the final list to have. And yes, it's also perhaps just to go through and to explain how to think and to be ready for indicators, starting with result indicators. What is important and relevant here? We have some additional definitions and how we really count those results, and that will be actually followed, as already mentioned, with some tools in implementation phase as well, some templates we have to develop and support you. But yes, we want here to emphasize that we are counting really the results which can be proven. Like there should be some kind of written or digital contract, proof of transaction, or something like that. Tourism sector specifics were already explained. We say clearly that partners are responsible for keeping records and knowing and having that information ready. But at the same time, we know that this is a business development, and there are the business secrets. We accept the confidentiality rules, and we basically accept the logic that this company-specific sales, business-specific information is kept by partner organizations, and only when relevant and with consent of the companies themselves, we make it available to the broader audience or use it in the marketing, for example. We are counting unique companies, and perhaps also to know, and it's related to potential need towards resources in implementation. In regard of results, we are expecting that results are reported from the second full year of a project implementation, not early. And we also say that the last results we would like to get from you would be 1 full year after the project has ended. So that would remain the obligation of the project. Even last report and final report has been made to really get the as many as possible good results counted, and that is already now in this period defined in the program manual. And just similar aspects in regard of output indicators. The SMEs introducing marketing or organizational innovation, we define those as the new and adopted methods and ways of marketing for companies. And those can be changes and adaptations within companies' organizational structures and processes, can be software solutions, marketing methods, so on. I personally think that in most cases, most companies should make some kind of changes in their processes or ways of marketing or adaptations of product services. So it's something very likely that each actually participating well-prepared company can have reported as achieved numerically. And the enterprises with non-financial support are actually the companies who are actively participating in project activities, similarly to the current logic of implementing. We try to count those only who are really actively taking part from project activities, not the ones you are to send newsletter or email, which can be certainly hundreds or maybe even in some cases thousands of recipients, but the ones you really bring into the active project activities. And yes, we count again we count the unique companies, and we count companies if there is one more than one participant from one company, we count one. So these are explanations, hopefully easing or making the understanding what to do with those indicators more clear before you enter into the application even. So and yes, maybe something to illustrate in regard this overall structure or hierarchy of indicators as well, and the project kind of main elements or components. So basically, this pyramid starts from a bottom, and we see that yes, this is a broad definition that SMEs are on a program level say that yes, you should look towards SMEs, but you should identify the specific sector, group, cluster to work with, and thereafter you as output indicator works, you should end up of certain smaller number of actively participating companies who can really be involved in project activities, and that is logically higher number than the companies who achieve those sales in targeted markets. And yes, this is again the coherence thing, and to apply that, there should be the project which should be coherent throughout of those elements: results, outputs, action plan, time plan, budget. So those have to work together really to get to the top of this triangle or a pyramid. And maybe to somehow conclude or to try to bring up some relevant things to keep in mind before starting elaborating your project idea, and it's also very much based on the experience of implementing this Central Baltic 2014-20 program export specific objective. So we have seen, and I think it's relevant that you really you know prior to really planning already your project or finalizing its latest, you know the target group who are you going to work with, because it's a time issue. The project is somehow duration of project can't be very long, and the project which doesn't know at the beginning with whom to work or has a time kind of consuming phase of identifying the ones to work with will really struggle and not have sufficient time and resources devoted to those active, aggressive new market entry activities. So know the markets to target as early as possible is a second important thing. Again, a similar logic. If you just think that okay, we start with the first year identifying where to go, then you may not have enough time to go through all relevant next phases and steps really to get there. Target optimal number of markets. So I say optimal market because it is different, sectorally different. There are sectors where it is justified to target more markets than one or two, but very often it is in a way that focusing makes sense because it is not easy to get to those distant markets. But yes, optimal here is the important keyword. And then, yes, indeed, is focus your activities to achieving sales, and that emphasis on the market entry part is important. I have added the last bullet point, additionality and new value. That is especially important because we are somehow continuing work on export support we have been doing, and I'm quite sure that many organizations who have been involved in the project implementation of the Central Baltic 2014-20 program plan and consider the new projects. But certainly what we are looking for is a new value added, additionality, in a way that we would like to see new markets targeted, new groups of companies, new companies who have not yet benefited or participated in the previous project activities to be in place. And those are the things we're emphasizing and want to make sure that you also know that in advance. And to end this program objective overview, I have this great opportunity actually just to it's always a question how you illustrate or which projects can be potentially the good examples or the sources of kind of inspiration. As I said, and you know that we have been working with the export, and actually we have succeeded to finance and support the implementation of 16 different Central Baltic export projects to enter to new markets. And I just go through, I show on a slide those projects names and teams. The slides we used for Central Baltic annual event overview, what has been achieved in the export field. So we have been working, you have been working in the sectors like health tech, eco-efficiency and water, ICT product services, smart city solutions, mechanical engineering and mechatronics sectors exports, services side, rural tourism efforts, music industry exports, both to a Japanese market, indoor hygiene solutions to Saudi Arabia, wood and interior solutions to China market, film production exports, maritime clusters, product services to Southern Africa, smart city solutions to anthropogenic emissions, breeding animals, ICT solutions again, and the game industry. So this is the portfolio. I think I want to emphasize again that the important thing here is the additionality and new value added. But this is for inspiration. I think we can together proudly say that actually all of those Central Baltic 2014-20 projects have been serious, strong, successful from their perspective, and can be used as inspiration for a new projects to be developed. And that information is available in our website. If you visit our website centralbaltic.eu, go to 2014-20 section, and there are our projects. So for more information. But now I think it's time for questions and answers if we have any.
We have several questions, so I will start going through one by one, and the chat is still open, so if there are more questions coming up, then feel free to add there. Ülari, the first question is about how clusters are defined. This was actually something that two people asked about, and both had questions like, does the cluster have to be officially registered? Does it maybe have to be visible in the European clusters collaboration platform, or are there other requirements?
The simple answer is not really rigid definition. The cluster is rather understood in a flexible way that there should be some kind of cooperation experience in place. And similarly to Central Baltic 2014-20 logic of specific objective 1.3, we always explain that, well, time-wise, it may have been early a little bit, or if you have had this cooperation experience, some involvement of academia, companies cooperating together, that's fine. There is no need that the official cluster organization is in place. So it is a flexible and rather trying to emphasize that this kind of operation experience is really favored and is beneficial to be in the background of you if you start going to international cooperation, cross-border cooperation.
I will take up on a little bit on the partnership. There's also a question about how universities can participate and collaborate within this program objective, and who can be, or how do you see the role of universities in this program objective, and maybe also can they be a lead partner, or who should be the lead partner?
No, there is no one answer. It depends on the partnership, and it depends on the experience and competence. What we certainly see that in the Central Baltic 14-20 portfolio also, we have cases where it has been justified and it has worked well, that universities with their competence in the field have been in a partnership together with professional expert support organizations or sectoral associations, for example, doing their part, also in the role of lead partner. So there have been those cases, but it's always case by case. This partnership creation is a little bit like family creation. You should find your roles. You should be ready to justify that you have that experience and you really bring the value added to the project in a perspective of these main results you have to achieve to get there to those markets you're targeting. So there are no restrictions, and experiences that very often universities with their expertise find the right place in a partnership.
Then there was a question about the state aid relevance that you mentioned, and the question was, does this state aid refer only to companies or organizations as a wider term?
It refers to the participating companies in a way that this is this third-party state aid. Based on our logic, the partner organizations who are actually the intermediaries, so to say, organizations who are doing activities towards providing services towards target group companies, they are not the subject for a state aid. If there are any questions which are maybe not clear, we also, of course, advise to consult your national authority who is responsible for state aid. But our program logic now, actually, throughout the last years of implementing a similar project has been that those partners organizations are not recipients of a state aid. They are the ones who do activities and provide services to third parties, and those third parties companies are the ones who receive state aid.
And then there is a wider question, which is about the simplified cost options that we will apply, and on the staff costs and the unit cost that is foreseen there. And maybe I will mention that we will have a separate session on the budget where our colleague Laura will go through every single cost category and every single simplified cost option. So that will come, and I hope everyone who is interested in submitting an application will take part in that session as well, because you will get crucial information and very vital information for planning and implementing a project. And of course, I will also mention here that indeed we record each of these sessions, and the slides will also be available. So I would like to answer this question with please come to the session on budget or follow that one. But I think we might just give us a brief reply still also in this session. And maybe as I'm already speaking, maybe I will just quickly say that yes, the unit cost is kind of it covers everything. It covers the relevant staff costs, including taxes, as was the question, and vacation period payments, yes, are all considered to be covered with this one unit cost. So I hope that gave the quick answer in this session, and then there will be a separate session on the budget, which I do again recommend. Meanwhile, I see that there's a new question to Ülari on the coming back really to the content of program objective 1, and the question is, what is the role of Åland in exports in the new program?
Similar to all other regions of a program area, well, as long as there are the small and medium-sized companies ready to cooperate with themselves, and based on that ready for a cross-border cooperation, they are as well potential target group companies. So rather the partner organization is needed to bring them into the good project.
And then I believe we have covered all the questions received so far.
So thank you for questions, and it's time to move on and to go through the second theme, program objectives. Central Baltic program intends to work and contribute in the new period, and this is about the new companies. So we have identified and determined the program objective, which is more new scaled up companies. And as many of you know, we have been also working in Central Baltic 2014-20 program with new companies, but our focus or result was set very clearly on the creation of new Central Baltic joint companies, and that led to the projects in most cases where work actually specific target group was the very early phase companies or even teams which were not yet companies, entrepreneurs, and attempts to mix those companies and achieve Central Baltic joint companies. Now, based on the feedback and also new priorities, the more specific niche, to say, in a rather broad area of supporting new businesses identified for Central Baltic program is to work with the new companies who have been already established, who are ambitious and who have a potential to grow, and that is really a different niche. And for that, we see that similarly to work we did for the Central Baltic 2014-20 year, we can really use the Central Baltic excellent startups ecosystem potential and trying to help or support with really this cross-border effort, the scaling up efforts of targeted new already established companies. And the scaling up is defined as company who participates because of the participation in project activities would achieve new investment into their business, can be establishing the presence outside of the home market, for example. It can be the development of new business model, for example. And indeed, we are looking here towards really getting those scaled up new companies as a result of successful projects. So basically, each project has to target a certain number of such scaled up companies as a result of a project activities. And yes, indeed, the similar logic towards outputs, there is realistically or potentially a larger number of those new companies participating in project activities than those who achieve the scaled up status. So they work output and result indicator together. Output as a milestone towards or one stop before getting to the final station. Again, similar logic like for program objective 1, we would work via the business support organizations who have experience and who are relevant capacity to do new business development support. This excellent Central Baltic new business ecosystem, we see rich of different organizations which should be non-commercial, not for profit, and again here we are giving the indicative list. Those organizations can be really in rather diverse nature. And target group, yes, as already said, that new companies, already established new companies who have scaling up challenge and also ambition to grow. All sectors are accepted, and wherever the scaling up challenges and ambition can be identified. And in regard the indicative joint actions, as the content of the work plan, activity plan, no recipe, but every project has to find the best mix based on the real needs of the selected participating companies, and do that magic, so to say, that the participating companies by the end of project activities or reasonable time after project end really achieve the scaled up status. And there are some additional explanations which are relevant. We have explained and indicated in program manual more specifically how also to interpret or understand the target group, main target group, new company with ambition to grow. We indicate that this is the company 5 years from the start of their operations usually, but there are also exceptions. Exceptions in regard of certain sectors where really it takes longer time to develop the product service, which are usually science knowledge intensive sectors, or it can be related to some areas where it is more challenging to develop and grow for companies. So indicating that these new companies, mature new companies, but still new companies, can be 7 years old in those 2 exceptional cases. And also to be even more flexible and perhaps realistic towards real needs, we also say that that in justified cases the project partners can include into the target group specifically identified participants the companies which are older but have similar scaling up challenge and ambition then as the other participating new companies with similar challenge. And the same logic as it was for program objective 1 about the state aid. So we are dealing with state aid to third parties and the similar simplified framework or approach is taken to use towards that. And based on our logic, the project partners, the organizations who are to undertake those activities towards target group companies are not subject to state aid. And again, the indication and emphasis on those joint cross-border elements. Those can be mixing the target group participants in project activities, to the joint trainings, events, some joint scaling up product development processes, use of joint business development experts, jointly developed methodologies and techniques. So this is the indicative list and can be continued wherever relevant. And in regard the result indicator, yes, we are looking for numerically targeting projects targeting the achievement of the scaled up new growth companies. And a little bit more explanations or definitions provided what that scaled up company can be. The raised investments, established presence outside of home market was already mentioned, can be also developed the business new model, a new product service, developed, expanded the key team, can be also the situation that company has been merged or acquired by some other company or some initial public offering, for example. And the similar logic again that the project partners should be ready for keeping records and knowing and proving wherever asked that those changes in the development of companies took place. And we are counting the unique companies. And reporting wise, also important that we don't expect the results scaled up status companies to appear before second full year of the project implementation. And we would like to get the last results 1 full year after the project has ended from project partners. And as one output indicator, enterprise with non-financial support, as I already illustrated it in the case of a previous program objective as well. This is the group of companies who are going to actively participate in project activities, and is likely to be numerically larger than the ones who really achieve their scaled up statuses. And yes, we count unique companies and not participations or representatives of the companies. So, and the same logic about the keeping records and output indicators reported annually is also relevant, not biannual or 6 months period. And a similar logic here, just how to think or build up your project indicator hierarchy or system. So we certainly see that to get to those companies who achieve scaled up statuses, you should already from the kind of determining the main target group, be more specific. You should find that more specific group you are going to work with as early as possible. And then these actively participating companies are some result of the screening or assessment by project partnership, the ones who are most ambitious, best prepared, or most likely to achieve scaled up statuses. And maybe some basic things. There are not so many things to take on board from the previous program implementation, but I would just emphasize it over again that I think it would be relevant to start with trying to be specific as early as possible in identifying the participants or target group for a project with whom you are going to undertake those complex activities to get companies to scaled up status. Why not to get them to the enrich the population of Central Baltic unicorns, as this picture on right hand side tries to show. We have a rather good population of those already. And really the focus of a strong project should be on the really those hands-on scaling up kind of support activities to be in place and implemented, not doing little bit or working out some tools or methods or ways of the working, but really getting into that process of business development and in a real kind of work with those companies. And actually, we still have actually some potential examples from the Central Baltic 2014-20 portfolio. As I said at the beginning, that we did intervene and wanted to achieve new Central Baltic companies, but we had also exception there. And not all projects were to work with the very young, just established the companies or teams, entrepreneurs. We had one exception, which was in regard archipelagos and islands area, where we actually equaled the new business models and directions worked out for already established companies to the, so to say, new joint companies. So in that sense, Archipelago Partnership, for example, was one project which was working in Archipelago Islands area with the companies already established and with the objective to achieve that those established companies created a new business directions or model. So similar project approach applied now to the newly defined target group. New companies can be also as the perhaps example or food for thought at least. And then one more example, which project doesn't work with, did not work and doesn't work with entrepreneurs, but really established and very often also with ambitious companies, new companies. The new Nordic Liftoff, which is the project where cross-border investments are actually used as the tool for creating or way of creating joint Central Baltic companies. So the similar, according to similar lines, also projects can be thought and as the received investment could be as one characteristic for scaled up status for company. So similar logic can be, I think, also taken on board and applied in some or another form for a new program, program objective 2 projects. So and now I think I have went through what I intended to about program objective 2. And it's time for questions if we have any.
At this time, we don't have any questions. So I think we can ask maybe those interested to ask their questions at this moment. There are no questions in the chat.
So no chat questions?
No chat questions.
If not, then I have just two more slides to go. So first, now it's time actually already emphasized yesterday, but now it's really time to move forward, to making sure that if you have the project idea, please use that opportunity, write your project idea into the form. This project idea form is available on our website, and we will send it to us, and we will give the feedback to you. So, and also the case-by-case individual consultations are possible. Nowadays, it is very often, I assume, the online format, but yes, that is those possibility. We have support structures, channels in place, national contact points are the best guides very often to contact and to get your question answered by them, or also transferred to us. Follow our website, our social media channels. Keep in mind the first call relevant dates. First call opens, electronic monitoring system opens on the 10th of February 2022, and the deadline is of course very important, which is sorry, wrong. It's 31st of somehow one has disappeared. I need to correct it immediately. 31st of March. Right? Sorry for that. And just to give an indication on relevant to the program objectives 1 and 2 specifically, as I said, it is likely the area of regular project. Second step, indicative deadline is some time within the third quarter of 2022. We see, or we have planned it right now. And potential start, if you already think of when the project can realistically start work with the target group project implementation, it is in first quarter of 2023 realistically. So, but I see now we have some chat movement and some questions, if there are some.
There was just one question about the deadline, but you answered to that one already. So no additional questions at this point.
Good. No more. Then I was asked to, yes, I was asked to remind that please fill in the feedback. The link has been posted to the chat, and that's the end of going through program objectives 1 and 2 for Central Baltic Program 2021-27. And I hope to see you, many of you, also in the coming up sessions of this week Central Baltic applicant seminars. Thank you.